In a humble abode nestled within a tranquil neighborhood of a modest town, Gabriella stirred from her slumber as the first rays of dawn peeked through the worn curtains of her bedroom. Beside her, in the narrow bed, lay her 8-year-old son, Martin, sleeping peacefully, his face adorned with a smile that could brighten even her darkest days. Gabriella rose carefully, mindful not to disturb her son, and after a light stretch, made her way to the kitchen. The kitchen was small and simple, with white walls that bore witness to the passage of time and a wooden table that had seen better days. Gabriella began her morning ritual by preparing a modest yet lovingly crafted breakfast. She lit the small stove and placed a pan to warm some milk. Meanwhile, she prepared toast with butter and sugar, a small but significant luxury in their tight budget. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee soon filled the room, providing a brief sense of comfort and warmth. Martin, awakened by the familiar scent, got out of bed and walked into the kitchen, his eyes still heavy with sleep. Gabriella turned to him with a warm smile and embraced him tenderly. "Good morning, my love." "Did you sleep well?" Gabriella asked as she poured him a cup of warm milk. Martin nodded with a smile, rubbing his eyes. "Yes, Mom. And you? How are you feeling today?" he asked with an innocence and concern that touched Gabriella's heart. Gabriella sighed softly, trying to maintain a positive tone so as not to worry her son. "I'm fine, honey. Today I plan to look for a new job, something that will give us a little more stability. While you're at school, I'm going to stop by a few places and see if I can find something. Don't worry, everything will be fine," she replied, lovingly stroking Martin's hair. Martin looked at her with admiration and trust. "I'm sure you'll find something, Mum. You're the strongest and most amazing person I know. I'll be thinking of you while I'm at school," he said, his words filled with unwavering faith. After finishing breakfast, Gabriella helped Martin get ready for school. She checked his backpack, making sure he didn't forget anything, and bundled him up warmly for the cool day that awaited them outside. Walking together to the door, Gabriella gave him final instructions before he left. "Remember to take the right bus and come straight home after school. Mum will be here waiting for you," she said, her voice firm yet loving. "I know, Mom. I'll remember everything. Good luck with your job search." "I love you very much," Martin replied, giving her a quick kiss on the cheek before running off towards the bus stop. Gabriella stood at the door for a moment, watching as her son walked away. A mix of pride and worry filled her heart. She felt a great responsibility to provide and care for Martin alone. But the determination and love she saw in her son inspired her to keep going, no matter how difficult the path. Returning inside, Gabriella dressed in what little she had, choosing a simple yet tidy outfit, preparing to face the day and the potential job opportunities it held. Before leaving, she took one last look at her reflection in the cracked hallway mirror, pulled her hair into a high bun, took a deep breath, and left the house, closing the door behind her with a renewed sense of hope. Gabriella knew it would be a long day, with many doors to knock on and possibly many rejections to face. But Martin's strength, the memory of his smile and his words of encouragement, gave her the courage to face any challenge. She walked with a determined step towards the local market to buy some things with the few coins she had. The morning air still carried the freshness of dawn, and the city streets were already coming alive with the hustle and bustle of daily activity. Gabriella mentally reviewed the list of basic necessities she needed to purchase with the little money she had. "We need rice, maybe some vegetables, and if the price is right, a little chicken," she planned, feeling the weight of the coins in her pocket. Upon arriving at the market, Gabriella headed straight for the stalls, where she knew she would find the best prices. With an innate ability, she carefully selected each item, mentally calculating the cost and adjusting her selection to fit within her tight budget. The line at the checkout was not long, but the wait seemed eternal, anxious to finish her shopping and continue her job search. Gabriella finally reached the counter and began to place her purchases. Her heart beat faster as the total amount increased. When the cashier announced the total, Gabriella realized that she had made a mistake in her calculations. The amount was a little higher than she had anticipated. "There must be a mistake," she said, trying to remain calm as she mentally reviewed the shopping list and the money she had. She began searching her pockets for any lost coins, each movement laden with a hope that was beginning to fade. The cashier waited with a look of sympathy mixed with impatience. Other customers began to gather behind her, the line growing again. Gabriella felt the weight of their gazes upon her, each one adding an extra layer of shame to her already difficult situation. She carefully placed the coins on the counter, her hand trembling slightly as she counted them. "I'm sorry. I really thought I'd counted correctly," she said, her voice betraying the uncertainty she felt inside. The cashier, with an expression of sympathy mixed with impatience, was about to start removing the items when a firm and determined voice interrupted. "Allow me. I'll pay the difference." Gabriella turned in surprise to find herself facing a well-dressed man of elegant bearing and penetrating gaze. It was Pablo, a renowned businessman in the city. His presence stood out from the crowd and his selfless gesture surprised everyone. "No, it's not necessary," Gabriella began to say, feeling a mixture of shame and gratitude. "I insist. Please, accept my help," Pablo said with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. He paid the cashier and picked up the bags, handing them to Gabriella. "It was a pleasure to help. What is your name?" "Gabriella," she replied, still in shock. "Thank you very much, sir." "Pablo," he said, studying her carefully. He recognized her as the daughter of the woman who, according to his father, had destroyed his family. Old photographs and his father's stories filled with bitterness came to mind. Despite his resentment, he maintained a kind expression. "Gabriella, would you like to attend a party I'm hosting this weekend? It will be an excellent opportunity to meet influential people." Gabriella was speechless for a moment. The invitation was tempting, but it also filled her with doubt. Why would a man like Pablo want to invite her to such an exclusive party? "I don't know if it would be appropriate," she began to say, but Pablo interrupted her. "I insist. It will be a great opportunity. Here is my card with the details. I hope to see you there." And, without further ado, he said goodbye, leaving her with the shopping bags and a card that shimmered with promise and doubt. Back home, Gabriella couldn't stop thinking about the invitation. Pablo's words echoed in her mind, mixed with fear and hope. She knew that such an opportunity could change her circumstances, but she also feared the unknown. "Mom, who was that man?" Martin asked when he got home and saw the card in his mother's hand. "A kind man who helped us at the market," Gabriella replied, trying to sound nonchalant. "He invited me to a party. I don't know if I should go." "You have to go, Mom," Martin exclaimed enthusiastically. "It could be a great opportunity for you." Gabriella smiled at her son's innocent excitement. "I'm not sure, honey. We don't have much to wear." "Let's see what we have in the closet," Martin suggested, pulling his mother towards the small room they shared. Gabriella opened the closet and began to go through the few clothes they had. There was a simple but elegant dress that she had saved for special occasions. It was modest, but with a little work, it could work. "This will do," Martine said confidently. "You'll look beautiful, Mom." Gabriella looked at the dress and then at her son, feeling a surge of love and determination. She knew she couldn't pass up this opportunity, however difficult it might seem. "Okay, we'll go," she finally decided. "But I need to prepare well." The next few days were a blur of nerves and preparations. Gabriella made sure everything was ready. The dress, the shoes, she even found a small handbag to match. Every night, Martine helped her practice how to walk and talk confidently. "Remember, Mom, you're amazing. Everyone will love you," Martine would say with an assurance that filled Gabriella with strength. The night of the party arrived and Gabriella dressed carefully, adjusting the dress and styling her hair in a high bun. Martine watched her with admiration, his eyes shining with pride. "You look beautiful, Mum," he said with a smile. "Thank you, my love." "I'm a little nervous," Gabriella admitted, adjusting the final details. "You don't have to be. You're the best," Martine replied, giving her a big hug. Gabriella headed for the door, taking a deep breath to calm her nerves. "Take care, honey. I'll be back soon." "Good luck, Mum. I love you," Martine said, watching her leave with a mixture of pride and hope. Gabriella left her house and hailed a taxi to the address Pablo had given her. As the vehicle sped through the illuminated streets of the city, her mind raced with thoughts and questions. Why had Pablo really invited her? What did they expect from her at this party? Upon arriving at the imposing mansion, Gabriella took a deep breath and got out of the taxi. She walked towards the entrance, where a doorman greeted her with a curious look. "Good evening, I'm Gabriella," she said in a firm but polite voice. The doorman nodded and ushered her inside. Gabriella stepped into the main hall, awestruck by the luxury and elegance of the place. Conversations and laughter filled the air, and she felt each step take her further away from her everyday world. The hall was decorated with glittering chandeliers and antique tapestries. The tables were draped with linen tablecloths and adorned with exuberant centerpieces. Gabriella, in her simple dress, felt out of place amidst such opulence. However, she took a deep breath and moved forward, remembering Martine's encouraging words. The guests, dressed in elegant suits and evening gowns, chatted animatedly in small groups. Gabriella felt like an intruder, but decided she should make the most of this opportunity. She approached the drinks table and poured herself some water to calm her nerves. As she did so, a distinguished-looking, kind woman approached her. "Hello, I haven't seen you before. I'm Teresa," the woman said with a genuine smile. Gabriella, slightly nervous, replied, "Hello, I'm Gabriella. This is my first time at an event like this." Teresa nodded understandingly. "I understand. These events can be intimidating. But don't worry, most people here are quite nice. What brings you here?" Gabriella briefly explained how she had met Pablo at the market and how he had invited her to the party. Teresa listened attentively, showing a genuine interest in her story. "That's interesting," Teresa said. "Pablo doesn't usually invite strangers to these events. You must have made quite an impression on him. What do you do for a living, Gabriella?" Gabriella smiled shyly. "I'm looking for work at the moment. I used to work as a cleaner, but I'm looking for something more stable." Teresa nodded, assessing Gabriella with a look that combined curiosity and sympathy. "Job hunting can be tough, but I'm sure you'll find something. If you need any help, don't hesitate to ask." Teresa's kindness calmed Gabriela and made her feel more comfortable. As they talked, Teresa introduced her to other guests, including several businessmen and influential professionals. Gabriela, though initially timid, began to participate in the conversations, sharing her experiences and listening with interest to the stories of others. As the evening progressed, Gabriela realized that, despite the differences in their circumstances, there were many things that connected her to these people. Her sincerity and humility captured the attention of several guests, who were impressed by her determination and resilience. One of the businessmen, a man named Carlos, approached Gabriela during a lull in the conversation. "I've been listening to your story, Gabriela. It's inspiring. Have you considered working in the service industry? I think your experience and attitude would be highly valued." Gabriela, surprised by the offer, replied, "I hadn't thought about it, but I'd be willing to consider it. I'm open to any opportunity that can help improve my son's and my life." Carlos smiled. "Excellent. We'll talk more about this later. I'd like to help you find a suitable position." Teresa, observing from nearby, noticed the interaction and felt satisfied. She knew Gabriela had potential and wanted to make sure she had a fair chance. As the evening continued, Gabriela found herself talking to more people, each conversation boosting her confidence. She began to realize that despite appearances, many of those present valued honesty and hard work as much as she did. At one point, Teresa approached Gabriela again. "You seem to be fitting in well," she commented with a smile. "Would you like to meet some more people? I think you could benefit from some of these connections." Gabriela nodded. "Yes, please. I'm so grateful for your help, Teresa." Teresa guided her to a small group of people who were having a lively discussion about the latest trends in business and technology. Gabriela listened intently, absorbing the information, and, when given the opportunity, shared her own ideas and perspectives. Suddenly, an imposing presence approached the group. It was Pablo, with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Teresa greeted him cordially, but Gabriela felt a current of tension in the air. "Pablo, it's good to see you," Teresa said, trying to keep the atmosphere light. "The pleasure is all mine, Teresa," Pablo replied, then turned his penetrating gaze to Gabriela. "I see our special guest is enjoying the evening." Gabriela nodded, trying to maintain her composure. "Yes, it's a wonderful evening. Thank you for the invitation." Pablo smiled, but there was something cold in his expression. "I'm glad to hear that. However, there's something that intrigues me, and I think it's time to address it." The others in the group fell silent, watching the interaction with interest. Gabriela felt a knot forming in her stomach. "Gabriela," Pablo began, "why don't you tell us more about your family, particularly about your mother?" Gabriela froze, unsure how to respond. The mention of her mother in this context caught her completely off guard. "I don't understand," she said, struggling to remain calm. "My mother passed away years ago. Why do you ask?" Pablo leaned forward slightly, his eyes glinting with a mixture of emotions. "Because I believe it's relevant. Did you know your mother was the reason my family was ruined?" A murmur rippled through the group. Gabriela felt as if the ground was opening beneath her feet. "That can't be true," she replied, her voice trembling slightly. "My mother was always a good person." "A good person?" Pablo retorted, his tone laced with acid. "Your mother was my father's mistress. She destroyed our home, our family. She was the reason my mother left us, the reason my father spiraled into despair." The revelation landed like a bombshell. Gabriela was speechless, her mind reeling. She could feel the weight of everyone's gaze upon her, some filled with pity, others with judgment. "I had no idea," she finally murmured, her voice barely audible. "I'm so sorry for what you went through, but I didn't know anything about that." "Of course you didn't," Pablo spat, his voice rising. "And here you are, trying to mingle with us as if nothing happened. It's an insult to everyone here." Teresa, who had been watching with growing concern, decided to intervene. "Pablo, this is not appropriate. Gabriela is not responsible for her mother's actions. You cannot blame her for something she didn't do." "Teresa is right," added Carlos, one of the businessmen Gabriela had been speaking with earlier. "We can't judge someone for their parents' past." Gabriela has proven herself to be a person of integrity and hard work tonight. Voices of support began to rise, and Gabriela felt a sliver of relief knowing she was not alone. Despite the shame and hurt, she forced herself to stand tall, to face the situation with dignity. "Pablo," Gabriela said, her voice stronger now, "I am truly sorry for what your family went through, but you cannot project your hatred onto me for something that happened before I was even born. I am here, trying to make a better life for myself and my son. I have done nothing wrong to you." Her words hung in the silence that followed. Pablo, visibly frustrated, looked around the room, realizing he did not have the support he'd expected. The disapproving gazes of the other guests turned his fury into a mixture of shame and resentment. "This isn't over," he muttered before turning sharply and stalking away from the group, leaving a trail of tension in his wake. Teresa placed a comforting hand on Gabriela's shoulder. "I'm so sorry about that. Pablo has carried that burden of resentment for a long time. He was not fair to you." Gabriela nodded, fighting back tears. "Thank you, Teresa. I wasn't expecting this, but I appreciate your support and everyone else's." Carlos approached as well. "Gabriela, if you ever need anything, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. Don't let this discourage you." The words of support and solidarity from those present helped Gabriela regain some composure. She knew the night had taken an unexpected and painful turn, but she had also found people willing to stand up for her, to value her for who she was. As the party drew to a close, Teresa pulled Gabriela aside. "Gabriela," she began, her expression kind, yet serious. "What happened tonight was wrong, and I'm sorry you had to experience that. But I want you to know that I'm impressed by how you handled yourself. You have an admirable strength." "Thank you, Teresa," Gabriela replied, touched by the woman's words. "It wasn't easy, but I'm glad to know there are people like you who support me." Teresa nodded. "I've been thinking, Gabriela. You have incredible potential, and I would like to offer you an opportunity. I have a position open at my company, and I think you would be a perfect fit. Moreover, I'd like to provide you with a car to make your commute easier. What do you think?" Gabriela was speechless, her eyes welling up with tears of gratitude. "I don't know how to thank you, Teresa. This is more than I could have ever hoped for." "You don't need to thank me," Teresa said, smiling. "All I want is for you to seize this chance, to show the world what you're capable of." And so, with that generous offer, Gabriela's life began to change. The next day, she arrived at Teresa's office, ready to embrace her new job. The atmosphere at the company was professional yet welcoming, and Gabriela felt a sense of belonging from the very beginning. Teresa, personally, showed her around the office, introducing her to her team. "Gabriela, this is your new work family," Teresa said, gesturing to her colleagues who greeted her with warm smiles. "I'm sure you'll settle in quickly." Gabriella, though nervous, felt motivated and ready to take on new challenges. Her first day was a whirlwind of learning and adapting, taking meticulous notes and absorbing all the information her colleagues shared. By the end of the day, she felt exhausted but fulfilled. As days turned into weeks, Gabriella settled into her new routine. The car Teresa provided made a world of difference, allowing her to take Martin to school and arrive at work on time without the worry of public transportation. The financial stability her new job provided began to reflect in their daily lives. The small house she shared with Martin started to feel more comfortable, more like a home. Martin, ever observant, noticed the positive changes. "Mama, it feels like we're living in a new house," he commented one day with a bright smile. "Yes, honey," Gabriella replied, stroking his hair. "We are getting there, little by little, thanks to the opportunities that have come our way." At work, Gabriella continued to shine. Her colleagues quickly realized she was not only dedicated but also resourceful and a quick learner. Teresa, who kept a close eye on her progress, couldn't have been happier with her decision to hire her. One day, after a particularly successful meeting where Gabriella had presented some innovative ideas, Teresa invited her to lunch. As they shared a quiet meal, Teresa said, "Gabriella, I'm very impressed with your performance. You've brought a fresh perspective and added a lot of value to our team. I'd like to talk to you about your long-term goals." Gabriella felt flattered and a little nervous. "Thank you, Teresa. My main goal is to ensure Martin has a bright future. But I also want to grow professionally, to continue learning." "That's wonderful to hear," Teresa replied. "I want you to know that I'm here to support you on that journey. I see great potential in you, Gabriella, and I believe you can go very far." Teresa's words solidified the trust Gabriella felt. She knew she had a powerful ally and a true friend in Teresa. Their relationship blossomed, not just as colleagues but as friends who respected and admired each other. Months passed, and Gabriella continued to excel in her work. Her dedication and work ethic led her to be recognized as one of the company's most valuable assets. The stability and recognition she'd found in her new job allowed her to focus on other areas of her life as well. Martin, witnessing his mother thrive, felt inspired. "Mama, when I grow up, I want to be just like you," he told her one day, his eyes shining with admiration. Gabriella pulled him into a tight hug. "You are already amazing, Martin, and I know you will do wonderful things." Their life had taken an unexpected but welcome turn. What had begun as a night of uncertainty and tension at Pablo's party had transformed into an opportunity for a fresh start. Gabriella had found not just a job, but a supportive community and a true friend in Teresa. Meanwhile, Pablo's life was taking a very different course. Following the incident at the party, many of his colleagues and business contacts began to distance themselves. The criticism and disdain he had faced that night did not dissipate. The business community, one that valued ethics and respect, began to question his judgment and his actions. The situation worsened when several of his business partners decided to pull out of their contracts, concerned about the negative impact Pablo's behavior could have on their own reputations. Slowly, the consequences of his actions began to affect his company, leading to a significant drop in revenue and the loss of important clients. Pablo found himself spiraling. The respect and admiration he had once enjoyed were rapidly fading, and with them, his sense of control and power. Long nights at his office became a reflection of his mounting desperation as he tried to salvage his company and his reputation. One day, as he sat hunched over his dwindling financial statements, Pablo realized that continuing down the same path would only lead to further ruin. He needed a radical change, not just in his professional life, but in his entire approach and attitude towards others. He made the difficult decision to shut down his company, to accept the loss, and to start anew with a different perspective. With the little savings he had left, Pablo opened a small shop in a modest neighborhood. It was a humble space, a far cry from the luxury and opulence he was accustomed to, but it offered him a chance to rediscover himself and to rebuild his life. The shop sold locally sourced goods and handcrafted items, and Pablo made an effort to personally connect with each customer, learning to value each interaction and to appreciate the stories behind the items he sold. The transition was not easy. There were days when Pablo felt overwhelmed by the weight of his past decisions and the challenges of his present circumstances. But slowly, he also began to find a different kind of satisfaction in his work. The simplicity and honesty of his new environment taught him valuable lessons about humility and respect. One afternoon, as he was arranging merchandise on a shelf, an elderly woman entered the shop and began browsing the items. Pablo approached her with a genuine smile and offered his assistance. The woman shared stories of her life and the challenges she had faced. Pablo listened intently, feeling a genuine connection he had rarely experienced in his previous life. After the woman left, Pablo stood in his shop, deep in thought. He realized that human connection and empathy were far more valuable than any business deal or financial gain. He began to see his shop not just as a business, but as a place where he could build genuine and meaningful connections with the people in his community. Over time, Pablo found that his new way of life was teaching him far more than any business book ever could. He was learning patience, the importance of small acts of kindness, and the true meaning of community and mutual respect. Months turned into a year, and Pablo's shop began to thrive. The neighborhood embraced him and appreciated his dedication and the quality of goods he offered. Pablo felt a sense of accomplishment, not just because of the success of his business, but because of the personal transformation he had undergone. He had learned to find joy in the simple things, to appreciate the value of hard work, and to cherish the relationships he had built with his customers and his community. Meanwhile, Gabriella's life continued its upward trajectory. At work, she had proven to be an exceptional employee, her dedication, creativity, and problem-solving skills making her an invaluable asset to the company. Teresa, her constant mentor and unwavering friend, felt a surge of pride watching Gabriella flourish in her new role. One morning, during a team meeting, Teresa made an exciting announcement. "I'm thrilled to announce that, thanks to the hard work and innovation of Gabriella, our company has not only met but exceeded our quarterly goals. Gabriella, I want to personally thank you for your dedication and your hard work. We couldn't have done it without you." Gabriella, surprised and touched, accepted the recognition with humility. "Thank you, Teresa. This was a team effort, and I'm grateful to be a part of such an incredible group." Gabriella's progress at the company was reflected not just in the numbers, but also in the atmosphere. Her positive energy and collaborative approach had inspired her colleagues, fostering an environment of mutual support and excellence. With each accomplishment, Gabriella grew more confident in her abilities and her capacity to overcome challenges. Her success in her career also had a positive ripple effect on her personal life. With financial stability, Gabriella was able to move to a more comfortable home with Martín. The new house, though modest, was a haven filled with love and warmth. Martin, who had always been a bright and curious child, now had his own space to study and to play. His bond with Gabriela grew stronger with each passing day. "Mama, I'm so proud of you," Martin said one evening as they were having dinner. "You're the best mom in the world and an amazing woman." Gabriela smiled, feeling a deep sense of gratitude. "Thank you, sweetheart. Everything I do for you. I want you to have the best future possible." On weekends, Gabriela and Martin often spent time exploring the city, visiting parks and museums. Gabriela wanted Martin to have a childhood filled with enriching experiences and happy memories. Their laughter and their conversations were a constant reminder of how far they had come from those difficult days when every penny counted. At the company, Gabriela not only excelled in her role, but also began taking on more responsibilities. Teresa, recognizing her potential, promoted her to a leadership position, entrusting her with the management of important projects. Gabriela embraced the challenge with enthusiasm, determined to prove herself worthy of the trust placed in her. One afternoon, as Gabriela was working on a report, Teresa approached her desk. "Gabriela, I have a proposition for you. There's an international conference on innovation and business leadership coming up, and I think you would be a perfect representative for our company. Would you be interested in attending?" Gabriela, though a little daunted, felt a surge of excitement at the opportunity. "I'd love to, Teresa. It would be an honor to represent the company." The conference was a resounding success. Gabriela not only presented her work with confidence and eloquence, but also made valuable connections with other leaders in her field. The experience solidified her determination and broadened her vision of what she could achieve. Upon her return, Gabriela was met with applause and congratulations. Her colleagues and her team members admired her, not just for her professional abilities, but also for her humility and her willingness to help others. Gabriela had earned the respect and admiration of all, her name becoming synonymous with excellence and leadership. Her story resonated throughout the company and beyond, inspiring others with her unwavering dedication and her ability to overcome adversity. In her community, Gabriela's story became a source of inspiration. Neighbors, who had witnessed her journey from hardship to success, saw her as a role model. Her ability to overcome obstacles and her unwavering determination were a testament to the power of hard work and resilience. One day, as she was walking through the park with Martin, a neighbor approached her. "Gabriela, I just wanted to tell you how much I admire what you've accomplished. You're an inspiration to us all." Gabriela, touched, replied, "Thank you. I've had a lot of support, and I'm grateful for every opportunity. If my story can inspire even one person, then it's all been worth it." Their life had come full circle. From the shadows of uncertainty and struggle, they had emerged into the light of success and stability. Each day was a new opportunity to learn, to grow, and to be grateful for how far they had come. One afternoon, as Gabriela was walking back from picking up Martin from school, she decided to stop by the little shop she had heard some of the other parents talking about. As she drew closer, she realized it was Pablo's shop. She paused for a moment, debating whether or not to go in, but then decided that facing the past was an important part of moving forward. Inside, Pablo was arranging some items on a shelf. When he saw Gabriela and Martin enter, his face registered a mixture of surprise and apprehension. It was clear he had not been expecting to see them. "Hello, Gabriela," he said, his voice subdued, trying to maintain his composure. "It's good to see you. How are you?" Gabriela offered a small smile, remembering the past tensions but feeling that it was time to let go of the animosity. "Hello, Pablo? I'm well, thank you. It's my first time in your shop. I've heard good things." Pablo nodded, grateful for the chance to converse. "Yes, it's been a big change for me. A challenge, but also a chance to learn and grow." As Martin wandered through the aisles, Gabriela approached Pablo. "Pablo, I wanted to take this opportunity to talk to you. I know we've both had our share of conflict in the past, and I know a lot of it stems from a painful history. I want you to know that I'm truly sorry for any pain my mother may have caused your family." Pablo, visibly moved by Gabriela's sincerity, took a deep breath before responding. "Gabriela, I owe you an apology as well. My behavior at the party was inexcusable. I was filled with resentment, and I didn't know how to handle it. I've learned a lot since then, and I've realized that holding on to that anger was only hurting me." Gabriela nodded, feeling a weight lift from her shoulders. "Thank you for saying that, Pablo. We've both changed and grown, and I think it's important to let go of the past so we can move forward." "I agree," Pablo said, a genuine smile finally reaching his eyes. "I hope we can start over, not as enemies, but as people who have learned from their mistakes." Gabriela extended her hand, and Pablo shook it firmly, sealing a new chapter in their lives. Martin, who had been observing the exchange with curiosity, approached his mother. "Mama, can we buy something here?" he asked, his eyes wide with interest in the unique items on display. "Of course, sweetheart," Gabriela replied, relieved by the reconciliation and eager to support Pablo's business. After making a few purchases, Gabriela and Martin said their goodbyes to Pablo, who felt a newfound sense of lightness and gratitude for the opportunity to mend fences. As he closed up his shop later that evening, Pablo reflected on how far he had come. Learning to forgive and to be forgiven had given him a new lease on life. Back at home, Gabriela prepared dinner while Martin worked on his homework at the kitchen table. The aroma of familiar comfort food filled the air, and a sense of peace settled over their home. Gabriela looked around, remembering the difficult times they had weathered together. The small house now felt cozier, safer, a true haven built on love and hard work. She sat down next to Martin, watching him concentrate on his schoolwork. His dedication filled her with pride. "Martin, you've been working so hard today. I'm very proud of you," Gabriela said, smiling. Martin looked up, his smile mirroring hers. "Thanks, Mama. You work hard too. You always inspire me to do my best." His words warmed Gabriela's heart. She knew their journey hadn't been easy, but each challenge they had overcome had only brought them closer. She felt a deep sense of gratitude for the people who had supported them along the way. Teresa, who had offered her a chance when she needed it most, and even Pablo, who had found a way to let go of the past and build a new life. With dinner ready, Gabriela and Martin sat down at the table, enjoying a simple yet meaningful meal together. As they ate, they talked about their dreams and their plans for the future. Gabriela knew that while there might still be challenges ahead, they were better equipped to face them together. After dinner, they settled on the couch, enjoying the quiet of the evening. Martin snuggled up next to his mother, and together they gazed out the window at the stars twinkling above. "Mama, do you think things will keep getting better?" Martin asked, his voice filled with hope. Gabriela stroked his hair, reflecting on all they had overcome. "Yes, Martin," she said softly. "We've been through a lot, but we made it through. and I know that as long as we have each other, we can get through anything." As Martin drifted off to sleep in her arms, Gabriela looked towards the future with quiet confidence. She knew that with love, resilience, and the support of those around her, any dream was possible. Their journey had been a testament to the power of strength and hope, and she was ready to face whatever came their way, secure in the knowledge that the future was bright, filled with promise. Gabriela and Martin's journey is a story of overcoming adversity and the power of resilience that leaves a lasting impact. Gabriela, facing almost insurmountable challenges, never gives up, finding the strength to persevere for the sake of her son. Her determination and bravery, along with the support of key individuals like Teresa, demonstrate that with hard work and a helping hand, lives can be transformed. Pablo's evolution is equally compelling. From a man consumed by resentment, he learns the value of forgiveness and humility, changing the course of his life for the better. His transformation shows that we all have the capacity for change and redemption if we are open to learning from our mistakes. The narrative highlights important life lessons: the importance of empathy, the power of forgiveness, and the strength of familial love. It teaches us that even in the face of adversity, hope can be found and brighter futures can be built. Gabriela and Pablo's experiences remind us that it is never too late to change, and that support for one another can serve as a beacon of light during our darkest moments. If you found this story as heartwarming, please like and comment below to let us know how it made you feel. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to catch other meaningful stories.